And about meditation, I always tell people, if you're not able to do something, sports or some walking or yoga is boring for you, you cannot exercise, at least meditate. And a lot of people have different uh, norms and thinking about meditation, a lot of perspective about meditation. Some think that if you have thoughts, that is the reason you're not able to meditate. And if thoughts and a lot of weird experiences are coming in your head, that means the meditation is not fulfilled for you. But it's not
Okay.
that case.
Yeah.
Meditation is just simply surrendering yourself there, just sitting out there, spending some time with yourself. And don't restrict yourself to a certain meditation. For example, if you like guided meditation, please go do that. If you like breath work meditation, do that. If you like listening to some chanting and then meditating, do that.
Hare Ram, Hare Krishna.
Do
Hey Prachi, welcome to the All Walks of Life podcast. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Oh, thank you.
So we were just having a conversation before we got started that Prachi was pretty she's pretty I don't know, anxious about how things are gonna go. But I mean, you listened to a yoga podcast yesterday, so you're in the groove. You know what's up.
Yeah, kind of. See, I'm nervous now.
See, that's what this is about. Like, this is what people really come here for. They don't want like this whole sort of scripted thing where people are having
Of
like
course.
billboards in front of this. You know what? This is what we have to say for the next 30 seconds. That's how we got media hits and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that's, at least maybe this is the idealist in me, the romantic in me, who sort of likes things raw. But I don't know. That
No,
is
it's
how
correct. I was just telling, there's this Joey Kidney that I listen to on Spotify. He's the same, like impromptu podcast. That is what I like, that rare stuff that people talk about. Rather than, 7 tips to give you, 7 tips to, and they're just jotting down
Yeah,
points
yeah,
and
yeah.
then reading it out for you. It's just weird, I guess.
Don't you think the sort of media space will sort of move away from that sooner rather than later? Because they'll see that they'll sort of start finding this stuff that it's very sort of mechanized. It's very robotic and it's not real in some sense. So I remember like this conversation I was having with do you know about Filter Copy? They're like this YouTube channel.
Of course, yes.
So I was speaking with Jackie Thakkar. He's a copywriter there, and he was telling me that Filter Copy is really struggling to sort of match many of the independent creators. And he was asking me as to how my YouTube feed looks, and I said that I associate a lot more. I do watch. It's not like I don't watch the big houses on YouTube, but generally I associate a lot more with like independent creators. And he was saying, yeah, it's really tough for us to compete with like the Tanmay Bhatts, the Dhruv Rathis of the world. And I think there's something to that, because I think people can associate more with them rather than if there are like 15 people making one video.
Yeah.
Do you think that's true?
It's like Filter Copy. Sorry.
Filter Coffee.
Filter Coffee started
I had
very.
Filter Coffee today at Tapri, so
I love Filter Coffee. Don't tell you. Okay, so it's like Filter Copy started like really well. Then these independent
yeah.
people came, and then it just, I seen their posts and stuff like that, like the videos they upload.
Yeah.
It's not getting too much of
Too much
views,
reach or what?
reach, engagement and stuff like that. Yeah, I think
it's about the friction thing, isn't it? Because you make reels as well, and I think there is something to that. Like, why are the people who are doing stuff on Instagram getting so much popular? I think it's because there's less of a friction. That, for example, if I'm consuming it on my Instagram, I know it's only like this lady or this man who simply has his iPhone or like a tripod, and that's it in some sense. It's not like, as I said, like not a lot of show business that's happening. It's much rawer in that sense.
Yeah, of course. It's not planned. Like,
Yeah.
4 people are not planning for you to what to do, and then you're sitting in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Because I remember I was working for this app.
Okay.
Okay. So they were supposed to do this whole yoga videos for children and stuff like that. So they were telling me, you have to do this. You have to say Surya Namaskar means this. And you have to tell this means this. It's so awkward,
Yeah.
They're telling me to do that. Like, they are writing for me and telling me to, okay, go teach this. And it looks so weird, because when I used to watch those videos myself,
You didn't like them.
I
And this is what I find really annoying, because it's like, I understand that they're trying to do their best and they come from a good place in increasing numbers and everyone has to work towards, they have to pay salaries and all this kind of stuff. But I don't know, I genuinely feel that, for example, if you have some sort of knowledge in the sphere of yoga, I would want to know how you think about it, not by some person who may have idea about marketing but doesn't know about yoga. So let the person who knows about what they know about do their thing, right? Like, and they can find a way.
It's just, okay, so I'll tell you this story. So I got a call like a few months ago, And they were like, okay, we are making this application for yoga, meditation, and we want to teach, we want to grow in this, and we want to spread health and stuff. So I was like, okay, what do you want to focus on? You tell us. What's yoga? What is yoga? You know what is yoga, na? We'll tell you, make diabetes per video, make this and this stuff like that. So I was like, but you want to spread health. It's your application. You want to create that.
Yeah.
But you tell us na what to do.
Okay.
They just want to market and earn money because for your application.
Right.
They don't actually know what is yoga. So I said, okay, let's make videos on meditation. It's really nice. Okay. They're like, just make 10-minute meditation. Let's do 5-minute meditation. You know, people are in rush and they just want to do 5-minute thing. Let's make that. So I was so awkward, you know. All of this is so authentic. Like, yoga is the most authentic stuff. It's like, it's our lifestyle. It's the way we should live.
Exactly.
It's not something to market around. Obviously, I was like, I can't do this.
So that's just another misconception about yoga as well, right? Because this is something I wanted to ask you about. Because many people sort of limit it only to the physical space of how things are. That it's that you go to some sort of fancy place, wear yoga pants, and do some sort of exercise and routine for like an hour, and then you're done with it. But I sort of understand yoga in a more broad and more holistic aspect. Can you sort of elaborate on that and how you sort of see yoga?
Okay, so I don't know if you have heard about it, but there's so many people who wrote about yoga. So there's Hatha Yoga Pradipika, there's Ashtanga, a definition of yoga. So, you know how Patanjali says, it's yoga chitta vritti nirodha.
By the way, Patanjali is his very famous sacred book that talks a lot about the Yoga Sutras. Is that also part of it? Yeah.
Yes.
And a bunch of other things. So yeah, sorry to cut you off.
It's okay, it's fine. So he says yoga is chitta vritti nirodha. So chitta is like mind. Or not just on the upper level mind. Deeper roots of mind, like conscious mind, subconscious mind, stuff like that. And then vritti means the modifications of mind, all the obstacles you face in life. And nirodha means restraining. So yoga is restraining those modulations of mind. It's like yoga helps you to remove all the obstacles and go beyond your obstacles, go beyond your comfort zone. And people just have, I want to air quote, yoga pants. Just wear your yoga pants and go to that fancy class.
Yeah. No, but how does one do that? That they go sort of beyond. Did I catch it right? Beyond the mind? Is that what you said it? Or there was something else?
Beyond the comfort zone.
Beyond the comfort of the mind. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, see, yoga is just not, obviously it's just not asanas. You know, it's very weird. Okay. So, it's like 8 limbs of yoga. There are 8 limbs of yoga, like 8 parts of yoga. Okay. And it doesn't start with asanas. It starts with yama. And yama is where you are focusing on oneself, like cleanliness, how you keep your hygiene. And then come niyamas. It's like, sorry, I said it opposite, I think. Okay, niyamas is for yourself, yama is for the society.
Okay,
so 8 limbs of yoga doesn't start with asanas.
Yeah.
It starts with the behavior that you should put out in the society. How you should talk to people.
Right.
The right way to talk to people. And the values, the beliefs. And then comes your cleanliness, how honest you are. So, it's just asanas comes really
So can we break this down for the listeners? So what are these 8 limbs? So you talked about cleanliness. So that is yama? No, so that is what is the term you used for it?
Yama.
Yama, okay.
And then comes niyama.
Niyama.
Oh shit, now I'm awkward, so I'm like
we'll come back to it. It's fine. We can come back.
Okay, no, I'm kidding. So after that comes yeah, sure, shit. Now somebody asks you and then you're like, okay, what was next? Okay. So it's it comes, I think, asanas.
Right.
Okay, I'm sorry if somebody knows it and then I'm speaking it in the wrong way. I'm so sorry. I've like read it 8 times.
Okay, you know 8 of them and you can mention them loosely in no particular order, as they say.
So then it's asanas. Then there's pranayama. Pranayama, you know?
Yeah.
Breath work.
Breath work.
Okay, and then comes pratyahara. I think I'm saying it in the right order.
Okay.
Okay, pratyahara is when you bring all the senses inwards.
Okay.
All your 6 senses inwards. 6 senses inwards is more like, how do I put it? So we're always, seeing things, listening to stuff, bad, good, everything. Bringing your all in means kind of detaching from the society. Kind of, being just with your own self. Not always seeing things, not always listening stuff. Sometimes...
So stopping that sort of aspect of socialization. Coming to how you see things for what they actually are, and not sort of see things from a lens of
Okay, so your senses is what makes you attached with people, society,
Yeah.
and everything. Okay, so the eight limb says you should bring your senses towards it, like inwards. Don't get too attached
Yeah.
outside. Just come inwards. Getting it? And then comes dhyana.
Okay. Which is meditation,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Then then comes dharana.
Dharana. Okay.
Dharana, which is focusing, focus, concentration. And then comes dhyana, going more in. And then comes samadhi. Samadhi is like upper level of enlightenment. And I think I said it in the right way, right order.
Great, that's... So, where would you put yourself to be? Like, how many of these sort of 8 limbs have you sort of been able to sort of at least experience in some sense, or sort of been able to say that you're proficient in some of these?
I think I've reached till dhyana. Yeah. But it's very difficult to follow yama and niyamas on an everyday basis.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah.
You know, with the growing world. Too
But
much too.
But isn't there, so like, I'm really interested in all these kind of
Okay.
things as well, and I've read the
Okay.
Gita, and I've read many of these sort of sacred texts in the Sanatana Dharma, and it says that, you can correct me if I'm wrong here,
Okay.
but Krishna says in that only he is a perfect yogi who can be sort of very creative at a time of like silence, but also be silent at the time of a lot of chaos in some sense. So my understanding from that is that it shouldn't really hamper as to the place you're sort of situated in. You can, so if you are, I don't know, able enough, you can sort of make it very meditative for yourself. Like the illusion of the world shouldn't sort of like impact your I don't know, your mental framework or how you sort of orient yourself, right?
Yeah.
But I know it's really difficult to get there.
No.
And all
It's actually, it takes time. So I'll tell you this thing. So when I started meditating, I think I was 20. I would have been 17 if I was listening to my mother. But then, I started meditating.
Eventually you got there.
Yeah, eventually there. So
and 20 is not a bad age. Like, come on.
Yeah, of course. People are like, okay, you started meditating at 20?
I mean, Buddha left his palace after he had like a kid. So like, I think you're doing fine. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, so 20. So, and it's been like 4 years something. So initially when I used to meditate and, people are creating sounds and, somebody's speaking, somebody's calling me, I used to get irritated.
Yeah.
It was just initially started it. I was like, and for me, I thought, and I was not a teacher, of course, back then.
Yeah.
I was just starting meditating and going to yoga classes. So if my father is speaking something, I used to get irritated because I felt that time that meditation is all about, sitting in silence. If somebody's creating sounds, noises, it's just weird. How can I even meditate? So then my father would say, you're meditating and then you're shouting. Why are you even meditating then? Like meditation is getting that patience and you're not even patient. But then I was like, oh, but you should stop creating sounds. I'm doing it. But then slowly and slowly I started meditating more and more and more. Now, even if you ask me to meditate in a party, I can. So then I realized over the years, like 2, 3, 4 years, that meditation is actually just being with yourself. And it's not about sounds. It's not about thoughts.
Exactly.
It's not about what's going in your head.
Yeah.
It's not about what people are speaking around you. It's just being with yourself. Close your open eyes. And now it's like, okay, even if somebody's calling me, I can stand up, I can talk to that person and again go back to my meditation. Very easily, just,
That's great. This reminds me, basically, do you know the name of Jay Shetty? He's very popular in the sort of yoga, motivation, all these circles. So he was saying that, so he, I think, did a stint as a monk, basically, when he'd come to India and sort of renounced worldly possessions and all that kind of stuff and want to live like a monkly life. And over there, he was telling me that he was traveling in India through the trains and those kind of things. And he said that he used to try to meditate on the trains, but he used to find it too noisy, as you said, like how you found it as well. And he said that I can't meditate. So what happened was that when the train used to stop at a particular station for however many minutes, 15, 20 minutes, he used to go out and sit on the station and then meditate. Then he used to, because there was less, it was more silent as compared to the trains and things like that. So his teacher, I think Gaur Gopal Das is his teacher, if I'm not wrong. He told him that how is the world? Is it peaceful like your sort of station, or is it noisy like the train that you're in? And it struck him then that, oh yeah, that's right. So he's then started improving, however much difficult it may have been for him in the beginning, then started meditating in, let's say, unconventional places, as people may put it. But yeah, but that's really interesting. Also, I want to touch base on this point that I don't think it simply has to be that you're sitting at one place and meditating. I think so. Like, I'm a big fan of Sant Kabir. I don't know if you've
Hmm.
heard his name. So he used to say that everything I do is meditation. If I'm eating, that's sort of my way of offering my food to God. If I'm doing my work, because he was a weaver, if I'm weaving my clothes, then it's a sort of it's my sort of discipline that I'm sort of showing to God. So each and every endeavor that I do, I think that's what being a true yogi is, right? That each and everything that you do in your day-to-day life is a form of sort of, I don't know, meditation, right?
Yeah, it's like I like to put it that way. If you're in a situation and if you're focused and relaxed at the same time, then it's meditation. So, for example, you're doing something, you're filling a form. Or no, okay, you're doing a question paper, okay, you're in exam hall and you're focused. But if you're relaxed at the same time, you're just doing it, then
Hmm.
also it's meditation because you're just relaxed. Same thing like you were saying, he's eating food and it's meditation for him.
Yeah.
Because he's focused on eating, he's focused on how his food is going inside, but he's also relaxed.
Yeah.
He's not like, okay, I have to get up and go to that place, I have to do this and this.
He's
and
not
this.
watching a YouTube video like I am and eating my food.
Or his mom is not saying, okay, do this after you've
Yeah.
eaten food.
Yeah.
Sometimes the mom is like, okay, my mom is like a big meditator. She's like really into it. She loves to teach meditation and but sometimes you just lose it. Your mom.
Maybe one day auntie can come on the podcast.
Yeah, yes, for sure. she'll be way better than me, of course.
No, but you were saying something.
Okay, so but you know, if you're a mom, you lose it sometimes. Okay, so if I'm eating someday and she's like, oh, okay, after you eat, do this. I'm like, okay, I'm eating it now. You can say after that also. Let me just relax and focus on my eating.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you say then the next thing to do. It's like if you tell me this thing you have to do after eating, then all the time in my mind what will go? Okay, I have to eat and go do this, eat and do this, eat and do this. I don't like that thing. I like, whatever I'm doing, I'm just there. So I feel, yeah, that is meditation, yes. So whenever I do that, whenever I get that time where nobody's speaking, nobody's doing anything, and I'm just doing my work, I feel that I don't feel like, sitting
That's nishkama
alone.
karma. Karm karo, phal ki apeksha na karo.
Ah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Have you had those moments in your sort of life? I mean, and I've been speaking with this to some of the people I sort of speak to, generally my friends and sort of other people. And I think it happens to me very few times that if I'm engaged in some sort of thing, maybe I don't know if it's reading a book or if it's a person I'm with or something of that sort. If I'm really, really engaged in that, sometimes like time stops and then you're only in that zone or in that phase, and you come out of it, oh, what was that? Has that happened to you, like in something you're doing, I don't know, in your yoga practice or generally in anything? Does that happen to you ever?
I think it didn't happen to me when, I didn't know all about this meditation and stuff, because I was in situations, but I was not there also at the same time.
Okay.
It's like I'm sitting here, but all my attention is on a phone or
Right.
something that's
Yeah,
happening. Okay, what I have to do next and stuff. But then I started meditating, and over the years, I realized it's so important to be where you are.
Huh.
And yeah, and then you just feel so good. You don't feel like doing anything else. Like, okay, so for me, yoga is not just about losing weight and, getting that body and getting that flexibility.
It must
and
be an
stuff.
aspect of it.
Of course. Like, if you ask me how yoga started in my life,
Yeah.
that was the reason. But I'm just saying that's not my main goal. For me, it's like I want to do yoga because I want to feel that peace. But you're right, correct. So if you're in a situation with a people or with you're experiencing something and you're just there, like your whole mind and body is just there in that situation, I don't feel like going back and doing yoga because I feel it's done.
Yeah.
I'm just feeling that same thing I feel after yoga and meditation. So yeah, that happens.
That's really interesting. And because that's really interesting what you touched upon, that whenever you said na ki when, for example, if you're doing something but you're not doing it at the same time. And I see this so many times, and I think I've mentioned this on my podcast several other times too, that whenever we're doing something, as you said, if we're even in this conversation, for example, whenever many people go out to eat, if they're with a friend also, it's not so much that they're having a conversation, it's just that they're waiting for the other person to stop so that they can say what they want to say. So they aren't really even listening to the other person. So it's even things like that. And there are other things, of course, as well. But yeah, I just think, I don't know, I just find more peace and, I don't know, more meaning when I'm really totally devoted in whatever I am doing. It's very difficult to sort of find that balance. But yeah, ekagrata is important, right?
No, you're right, actually. I was the same kid. I was the same annoying kid who was always, just waiting for you to complete your thing, and yeah, I have to speak my stuff. I have to speak my thing.
You got all the time here. It's a podcast.
But then I think it's just happened with me last 7 months ago. I just was with this person. And I just observed how, I don't remember exactly, but how she used to just listen to me, and then she used to speak the whole thing, whatever she wanted to speak. And then I learned that it's such a good quality. Like, I feel so nice. Like, she waited for me to say the whole thing, even if it's 15-minute thing, to speak her own thing. And that's when I realized I should start doing this. I should start, listening to people and then say my stuff. So yeah, you should do
So
that
there's this
often.
very famous psychologist. His name was Carl Rogers, and he said one of the most difficult things in the world is listening, basically, because even when people think that they're listening, they're not. And so he came up with this. So as he was a psychiatrist and basically like a practicing
Mm-hmm.
clinician, he basically started this thing that whenever people used to come to him, one of these listening tests he used to give them was that, acha, if for example I've said something, even if you can say, if even if you can write down 50% of what I said, I'll take that as like an accomplishment. Because half the time, even if you think you're gathering whatever I'm saying, it's not truly the case. You're gathering aspects of it. Because I'm forgetting the name of the intellectual, but he said that it's not always about the words that we're speaking. It's a lot of other things that make up what your impression of what I'm speaking is. My body language, how I look,
Right.
etc., etc., etc. That's another reason why I like having these podcasts in person, because I just feel, I don't know, there's a lot more I can gather. The conversations are much richer than if it's online. Do you agree to that? And you said that there's something you wanted to implement, like listening more actively. have you started doing that? Like, do you think that's an active thing that you've started?
Yeah, listening. Since I've started doing this and since I've started listening to people, I think I've gained more knowledge. So I was in this yoga institute, and so I was just listening to what the teacher says, and I was just quiet and not talking to people. And there's this girl who came up, and she must be listening to this. She will listen to this podcast, I'm for sure.
What's her name? Give her a shout
Okay.
out.
Okay, Anusha, if you're listening to this.
There you go.
So she said, "Oh, how quiet." So she says to me now that, I just saw you how quiet you were. Just listening to people, not doing anything, not speaking to anybody, and I just like that thing, about you, because you were just there. You were just seeing, who you are vibing with, not just blabbering around, speaking with everybody. You were just listening and getting stuff. Okay, this person is saying something nice. Okay, I have to listen to it. If teacher is telling something, you're just listening to it, because we were not talking. I was not talking to anybody, so obviously I didn't notice you, Anusha, sorry. But then when we notice each other, and then she's telling me this thing, and then I think, yeah, listening is great. It just helps you learn more about people. You just know the right people to talk to, the right knowledge to get.
Huh. And
Yeah.
so there's this intellectual called Jordan Peterson. I don't know if you've heard of his name. I used to be a big fan of his. Now I don't really like his content all that much. But he had this really interesting thing to say. Basically, he said that it's fascinating that if you simply listen to a person, what they'll tell you. Like, if you truly listen to a person, they'll tell everything to you about themselves. Because it's like,
Correct.
acha, koi sun raha hai meri baat. Like, I see someone sitting down to actually listen of what I actually think, which is fascinating. But something I want to sort of tangentially take to was that because you create a lot of your content online as well through
Hmm.
Instagram, and you have many of these classes on Zoom, vagera, do you think there's like a change in dimension when you're sort of orienting these classes through a virtual medium as compared to if you have these classes in person? Like, what are like some of the pros and cons, and like, can you
Okay.
speak to that experience?
Hmm.
Like, also, first of all, like doing these classes online, but also like creating content which people then consume and then learn off from.
Okay, so when I started teaching in 2019, and of course before the pandemic, I opened my own studio. I was teaching.
There you go.
So I had a studio, and there were a lot
Where
of
can
people.
people come to you to sort of reach out if they're interested in your classes?
Okay, so it's in Nirman Nagar.
Okay,
It's
in
in
Jaipur.
Jaipur. Please enroll. Come to my classes. Okay, so I started taking the classes, and a huge group you would come there, because the online was not an option, and the studio was newly open, and people were coming in. It was very nice, and the classes were nice, and I used to love to go. And okay, so yoga is like something very close to me. I love teaching yoga. I can never get bored of it. And a lot of people used to. I used to take 10 classes one day. I was so passionate about teaching. I was like, okay, if you cannot come this time and you can come the other time, I'll take a batch. Even if you're just one person. I'm so passionate to teach that. I'm like, okay, if this one person wants to learn yoga, I don't want that person to not learn just because I can't give time. So I was like, okay, I have to do this. So I used to love adjusting people, if they are able to do some asana, they used to be so happy and it was so nice. But then things went online, obviously pandemic. But for me personally, I feel my career grew
In person or online?
online.
Okay.
Okay, because I could reach out to a lot of people, like a lot of people. There were so many relatives of mine, so many friends who never lived in Jaipur. There were so many friends who lived in Jaipur but so far away. They can't come, 25
Yeah,
minutes
yeah.
every day in the morning,
For
drive
sure.
and then go back for 1 hour class office, of course. So they were always like, teach me, but they could never learn. So I was like, okay. But the pandemic was there and, people were losing their business. So I started with this free classes. I was like, okay, I'll teach free. Okay. And then I got a huge group and it was very nice. Initially, it was very hard to teach, the steps. It was not boring, I would say. But of course, these offline classes are, you can connect with people.
Yeah, yeah.
You talk about other stuff also. If somebody's coming, they just don't start doing yoga. We connect. Okay, how are you doing? Online, you cannot do that. Like 60 people, if they're in the class, they can't talk, no. How can I unmute everybody in
Exactly,
1 hour class? You have
yeah.
to just start doing yoga.
Huh.
So it was just that way. But
Do you still take
Yeah.
in-person classes or it's all virtual right now?
no, it's both. I take both of them. So then when the pandemic was getting over, things went offline again. But I've observed, actually, I love online classes. I'll tell pros and cons. Okay, so why online classes are great? Because it helps you to reach out people, of
Mhm.
course, and not just in business way, but I'm just like, I'm telling you, their friends, their relatives,
Exactly.
you cannot just
Yeah,
attend
yeah,
you
yeah,
offline.
yeah.
And if they would love to learn from you, and you also
Want to
love
offer
to
yourself? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
teach
Teach.
them, so it's a great thing doing online. And but the pro there is, there's so many times somebody is doing something wrong and I'm just telling them, okay, just the hand goes up, okay, just take, but they're not getting it,
Right,
and just like, okay, can you just go and just go to their place and just do their hand and they straighten it for them. So that's a con, okay, because yesterday my brother was asking me, how people to learn yoga online, is it easy for you? I said it's with experience that I'm able to instruct them, but sometimes, yeah, I feel that touch is not there. I can't, really help them out with asanas. The asanas that they can just do easily, they're not able to do it because nobody's there to guide them. So that I feel is a pro. Sorry, con.
Have you, so
Sorry.
you produce a lot of content on your Instagram,
Hmm.
which is like yoga oriented, but have you sort of thought about stuff on YouTube, like which is more, I don't know, more driven towards 5-6 minute videos about like a certain asana or certain
Hmm.
something of that sort? I think that has good reach as well. I'm just saying because my mom watches a lot of these things. So
Okay, so
maybe just from a selfish motive.
see, why I didn't do initially, I started doing YouTube and I started creating videos and people were doing it. Then I realized I didn't want to make that 5-6 minute video because I want people to do it completely if they're doing something, not just because for the sake of doing. I just told you, yoga is not just about asanas. It's about breath work. It's about being there in the moment. It's about, all your senses are devoted towards your asanas and your practice and your sadhana. So it's more than that. So that's why I never wanted to make it. But then, as you said, a lot of people watch YouTube and do it. So then I've recently started doing it. So I've recently started making these. So I didn't want to do straight away go and put a flow out there. People can't even do that. I didn't want to do that. So I wanted to go slow. So I was just talking to my friend and I was like, okay, what we'll do is, for example, there's this warm up. For example,
ठीक है.
Hatha Surya Namaskara.
Right.
So we'll just make video of that. So just Hatha Surya. So we made Hatha Surya Namaskar and then we'll go next. And then we'll just teach slow till they reach that point where they can do a flow. I just don't want to do it because YouTube will pay me or I'll get more subscribers. I don't want to do that. If I want to get paid, I can run more workshops and
Exactly.
go offline classes and stuff like that. So yeah, for me, YouTube is more about, or Instagram, even if I put mudras and everything, I put it out there. It's just because I want people to do it. There's so many people who can't afford, or classes are not accessible to them, or they don't have time.
Or it's a remote location or whatever be the reason.
So I just want them to heal themselves from the simplest way they can. And it's very easy to say, oh, do yoga, but there are so many people don't want to do it. So I'm going to give them simple ways. So there was a series I started about meditation, how to meditate, the 7-8 reels for that. And for pranayam, slowly if you have this problem, then do this. If you have this problem, do this. So that there are specific things that they can come back to and do. So even if I'll be happy that even if you're not doing nothing, but you saw my one reel and you saw this one pranayam and you started doing it, and it just helped you in a way.
Yeah.
And it's just nice because I got a few DMs, I started following you and I did this mudra and I feel so better.
Yeah.
And that's like, oh, nice. I feel so good. I feel
Yeah,
good about
and
it.
that's the great part. So I don't have like a following as big as yours right now. But even in the content I do produce, I do get those sort of replies on my Instagram or my YouTube or whatever, saying that they really appreciate this conversation or they got so much to learn from it. And that's enough for me. Because the thing is, see, first of all, I just do these conversations because I like having these conversations, truly like a selfish motive. But then I put these out because if someone would actually want to learn and actually want to listen, then that's great as well. So yeah, and it's just really nice to hear if people actually, there are some people at the end of the day who are benefiting from it. Like there's so many of these other content creators who I have spoken to, and they said that they wouldn't stop just simply because so many people who've come to them saying that, oh, please don't do this because please don't stop doing it because it's something we look forward to every day or something of that sort, which yeah, it's a great addition to have.
It is, of course.
So talking about basically when you were talking about how you build like a bunch of videos or a bunch of reels, building a certain point, be it meditation, be it a certain mudra or whatever. So me and my family were sort of during when the first lockdown had started, there was this yogi, his name is Akshar Yoga. I don't know if you've come across this. Oh, you okay?
Bangalore, right?
Yeah. So he's such an amazing he's such an amazing yogi. So I don't know if you followed it that time. He used to come live every single day on his Facebook, I think twice a day. I think 7 or 8 in the morning, and then in the evening 4 or 5. And like just teach for free, and like and we almost were a part of it. So every day our routine became like that. So we used to do like one session from him in the morning and one the afternoon and evening, and then we almost went on the same journey with him because we became consistent. And as soon as because he knew that there was a certain amount of people who were coming in every day, he increased the level of difficulty with like each session. So we almost felt that we were growing through the thing, and I felt pretty happy about myself because I could do a Shisharsana.
Congrats.
Yeah. So but yeah, it was just things like that because it organically built up a community of people who are actually coming back and like looking forward to the live stream or whatever it was.
Yeah, it's good actually. People who are putting these online videos or going live just because they want to spread health is what I really like. Like you could do a Shishasana, that's you're really proud of you. Okay, yes, I can do it. It's something always count on. Okay, in the pandemic I learned this from this person.
Yeah.
And this person really
not
taught
only
me
that,
this.
like a bunch of other things, but
okay,
I
fine.
mean,
Okay.
I'm pretty good at yogi now. I mean, I might show you my skills one day.
Okay, go comment guys if you want to see him put
A
some
Shisha.
yoga asana on
Yeah,
Instagram. People
yeah.
just comment. He'll put.
But so leading on to that, this was
Yeah.
pretty interesting because when I was doing this, there was just certain things I sort of observed through my little yoga journey that I did have. Was that how it sort of changed my mental framework of how I started looking at things and how I sort of mentally felt as well, because I used to feel much better off at the end of the day after I've done these sessions. And I don't know about some of these asanas as well. Like I mentioned the Shisha asana, like after doing that, like I felt much better. Maybe just because the blood stream went there, or after doing certain asanas. Why is that? Like, is it because of that? Like you are you're focusing your energies into a part of your body that you perhaps wouldn't have done earlier, or what is it?
So it's both the ways, of course, the one that you say, but it's also, for example, you're doing a twist. And for example, your right hand goes here and you're twisting it. So obviously your thigh is squeezing your abdomen.
Yeah.
If it's squeezing your abdomen, of course, there are abdominal organs that are getting squeezed.
Yeah.
They are getting massaged,
Right.
obviously. So if they are getting massaged, they're working nice for you.
Yeah.
They start working nice for you. The other parts starts working nice for you, and then you still feel good about it.
Right. Yeah.
So it's also science. It's not just energy.
For sure.
So it's okay. So let's come to that point back. Like you're focused and you're relaxed at the same time. That's meditation. So that's why you're like focused on that video. Whatever he's doing. At the same time, you're relaxed because it's not competition for you. You just want to do it. And then there's science that you're twisting your body, so your spine is twisting in a certain way, so that blood stream goes in a certain way. And of course, you must have listened about lymphatic system.
Okay.
So
which is what for the viewers and even me, I don't know.
Okay, the lymphatic system takes care of your immunity and blood back to the
Okay,
heart and
right.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So Okay, you know the calf is your second heart.
No, I don't know.
Okay. So okay, the blood has to flow back
Okay.
up, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
how does it happen? The calf
The
muscles
calf
help
doesn't.
you. Okay? So that's why there are so many exercises so many asanas in yoga where the focus is on activating the calf muscles. So I don't know if you've done this, but there are this certain thing that you have to
Careful.
that you have to raise your heels up, toes up, heels up,
Yeah,
toes up,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
that helps, in that lymphatic system. So the
Yeah,
calf
I do it in
muscle.
the gym nowadays, but
Ha. So the calf
calf
muscles,
raises.
the calf muscles gets activated, and it's easier for the blood to flow up.
Okay.
So that's why your calves are called your second heart.
Wow. I
So
didn't
you
know
want
that.
to
Yeah.
activate that. If you activate your calves and it's working nicely, so the blood flow is easy. You don't get varicose veins.
Yeah, because now it makes a lot more sense because in those 2 or 3 months when I was doing it with Akshar sir, I just felt that I could do things with my body I couldn't do earlier.
Hmm.
Like, how is this possible that I can like stand on my head or whatever or something of that sort, which is really interesting. And even so, he also touched about many of these practices, which at that point when I was starting off felt trivial. Like, why should I do this? So he made it something that you should take a shower before you come for a yoga
Hmm.
session, or you should make your diet restrict to certain kinds of things, which at that time I didn't really think it's as important as
Hmm.
perhaps getting to the meat and bones of it. But then I started realizing that, oh, acha, it all fits in, and this is why this works and why that
I think
works.
logic is important. Like
Yeah.
if I go tell people that please do meditate, you'll be happy. Okay, do this, you'll be nice. Do yoga and you'll be flexible. So they want logic. How is that working?
Right.
If I say okay, if they say take
But
a bath,
you'll get enough in anbhaks also nowadays. These aunties who
of course, of course.
no, but yeah, you go on
Yeah, so it's like if he's telling you take a shower before you
your
come for
session.
your
Yeah.
yoga session, then you'll be like, "Arey, kyun lo?
Huh.
Why do you take it? It's
I'll take it
fine.
after
Ah,
because
I can take
then
it out." But if he's telling logic, okay, if you take a bath, you'll be relaxed, and then you come to the yoga session, then you'll be more relaxed, and then you
Mhm.
can flow easily into the yoga. Then it helps you. I think
Hmm.
giving logic is important. That's what my goal is in the class. So whenever I'm taking a class and if I'm teaching certain asana, so I know different forms of yoga.
Mhm.
Okay, so whenever I'm teaching certain form of yoga, I make sure that I'm telling that this belongs to this form of yoga, or
Okay.
this belongs to this form. So somebody was telling me, what's the need? You just make us do. So I was like, no, I want you to know it.
Yeah.
I want you to know what I'm making you do, so that when you do it, you put that into your head,
Head.
and
Yeah.
okay, this is this.
Does
This
it
is
come
this.
over time? So, for example, if the participants, if your students have started off, and then they get interested in your journey, so they've
Hmm.
spent some time with you and started
Hmm.
understanding some of the components of yoga, then does that interest like spike? And then, acha, why is now I've started to understand that why you were saying certain things, and then maybe their curiosity develops or something.
It depends, I think, on person to person.
Yeah.
Depends, like really depends. Some people are just like, they just want to come to the class and lose weight, or
Right.
uh
Which is fine as well, I
hi, it's
guess.
just fine. Okay, it's fine, of course it's fine. uh there's some people who come with that curiosity. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
what's yoga? Okay, I want to learn more about it. Tell me. So there's this girl who is with me since January.
Okay.
So she's learned. Okay, so I met her. She got my this class information on Instagram, and then she joined, and then she's with me since January. And she's very curious about stuff. Okay, why this is happening, or why to open chakras. So
Hmm.
this, I like it when people put questions.
What
That's
What are chakras, by the way, for a layman like me?
okay. Chakras are energy wheels in your body.
Okay.
Okay, so there are seven. Okay, there are a lot of chakras. I think 114, if I'm not wrong.
Wow.
But there's seven main chakras, seven important chakras, and even if you search on Google, you'll just get that seven chakras.
Okay.
Okay, so it starts from the base of your spine to the top of your head. So it goes like that, and there are energy wheels. So each chakra is associated with certain emotion in your body. So if you are having some disease, or some emotion is coming up in your body, that's related to this one chakra. For example, Mooladhara chakra, that's the first chakra.
Okay.
Okay, that's the first energy wheel. It is associated with enthusiasm and lethargy.
Okay.
So if you're somebody who feels very lethargic, very laid back and stuff, that means your Mooladhara chakra is imbalanced, or it's blocked.
You can take that.
Oh no, it's fine.
Okay.
Oh, Anusha is calling.
Wow, it's we're truly in the metaverse.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, where was I?
Yeah, you were talking about the Mooladhara chakra.
Yeah, Mooladhara chakra. So then that means your chakra is blocked or imbalanced. There are so many yoga asanas, pranayams, and practices that you can do to open that chakra. Once that chakra opens up, then you start feeling more enthusiastic
Right.
and less lethargic. But it is just not till that, chakras are not just associated with your emotions. There's so many, for example, you're having some problem related to your maybe reproductive system or something. So that means your Swadhisthana chakra is blocked. That's why you're having some problems with your reproductive system.
Okay.
So if you work on the chakra, the disease gets cured. So
And how can one work on a particular? So, for example, if their reproductive system isn't working the best, so what is it that they can do to sort of improve their chakra?
So there's a lot of activities.
Or is it cleansing? I don't know what the term is.
There are a lot of books written on that. There are a lot of things around chakras, and there's a lot of information on Google also. So okay. So this is what you asked me a while back, na? Ki how does yoga works? Why did you feel nice about after doing yoga? So this is the reason. When you do yoga, when you do certain asanas, that's when your chakra starts getting opened up.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's Mooladhara chakra is related to enthusiasm. And you said, oh, I felt enthusiastic when I started doing yoga.
Yeah.
Because Mooladhara starts getting balanced, starts getting opened up. Then again it goes to Swadhisthana. So if you're doing so there are asanas that are made in a certain way that are associated with your chakras.
Right.
And if you do those certain asanas, those chakras starts getting opened up. And the pranayams are also made around like that.
That's pretty interesting. So I was reading this book. I don't remember the name of the book, but it was like a really thick yoga book. And it mentions that I don't think any one yogi or yogini can sort of know all the asanas because there are like umpteen number of asanas. So isn't that what's like a general practice, that if there's a yogi or a yogini, they'll sort of focus on a certain, like a bunch of asanas which they're competent and are proficient and then sort of teach that. Because if they went on to teach like all of them, they'd probably be lost. So there's from what I heard at least, you can correct me if I'm wrong. There's like a lot of asanas, aren't there?
Of course. So see, there's a difference between being a yoga teacher and a yoga practitioner. Okay. So
which is what?
It's like, for example, I can't do a headstand, but I can teach a headstand, and I can teach you to do a headstand. It's fine if I can't do. So there are, for example, n number of asanas. It's not necessary that as a teacher I should know all of them to teach you. If I know the trick, if I know the drills to do it, I can teach you. That's the difference between a teacher and a practitioner. So I remember this. So it's very weird. A lot of people can just do headstand in the park, just like that. They'll just go there, up there.
Yeah.
And I was practicing it, and I was not able to get it for 1 year. I'm not sure why. Okay.
Can you do it now?
Yeah, I can do it now.
So you're the same competence as I am now.
Yeah, finally. So I was just not getting it. Okay. So initially I was like, why I'm not able to do it? But then I was like, it's fine. It's not a competition. Nobody's coming and asking me to do a headstand. And if I'm not able to do, they're like, okay, this is a faltu teacher. It's not like that. So I stopped taking it as a competition for me, and I started taking it as a challenge. Okay, it's fine. No, I'll get there. It's fine. I'll just do it with a wall unless I'm not able to get it. But in that whole year, I taught a lot of people to do headstand, and they could do headstand before me.
Oh wow, okay.
So that's what I'm telling. There are a lot of asanas, but it's not important that one should know all the asanas to teach it.
Right.
You should know it, but it's not important that you should be able to do it. So I was this yoga shala, and I was learning yoga, but that teacher couldn't do a lot of asanas.
Okay.
But his training was absolutely amazing. Like, he could teach you anything from taking your leg up here to back and stuff like that. But he couldn't do it. But it's fine, I guess. It's fine. I know a lot of people judge. I know a lot of people will say, oh, if he can't do it, how will he ever teach me? And I think you shouldn't judge like that. You shouldn't judge a yoga teacher according to what he's able to do. You should judge what he's able to teach you.
Yeah. That's what he's there to do, right?
So that's what I'm telling you.
Like, jockeys aren't running the race. Horses are, right?
Yeah. So yes, there are a lot of asanas. Yes, there are a lot of asanas, but it's not important that you should be able to
know all of them. Yeah, that sounds fair. So something I've been thinking a lot about, and when you were talking about the whole aspects of like the chakras as well, something that's always been on my mind, and I haven't really had someone who's really knows a little bit about the space, and I've actually asked this question. My thing is that, do you think that so I have my critiques of Western medicine.
Okay.
Like, I think there's a lot of overemphasis that's given to primarily because capitalism and a lot of sort of
Hmm.
money sort of invested in that. So we quickly sort of run towards sort of Western medicine when we have the slightest of the problems. Whereas most of the time, that's not really required, in my understanding. I think, so I've had this conversation with a bunch of people, and I've been repeating it as well, that I think a lot more emphasis should be given on like prevention and less on cure. But the thing is, all the money is in cure and not in prevention.
It's very easy to take a pill.
Yeah, yeah. But my thing is, I still think though that Western medicine is required in like very specialized things. So if someone's
Hmm.
going through a specific kind of cancer,
Hmm.
then I do think that Western medicine is important. But do you think that one can approach a life which is through perhaps, is it Ayurveda or is it like the from the Patanjali, where they can take perhaps a not one that is like what's it called? There's no intervention from like medicine to something of that sort, but like through a different approach which is not medicinal in let's say the Western sense. Have you seen that being possible, or do you still think that there is like a place for Western medicine to come in?
See, with my personal experience, I'll tell you. Before I started doing yoga, my immunity system was very weak, very weak. Like I used to just get sick.
Okay.
Okay, and obviously, it was not like that. That I started doing yoga and then everything was
Sapushi ko gaya.
fine.
Right.
It was not like that. So after 1 year of practice, after 2 years of practice, I started observing myself that my immunity is getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and I'm getting sicker less and less and less. Like once in a while is fine because the weather is changing and everything. But then about Western medicine, it's that okay, you can take cure, you can take preventions. I do yoga every day, I do meditate and everything. But then the weather is changing, the global warming,
Hmm.
the food, pesticides and everything. It's very hard to do prevention.
Yeah.
You have to go to
But do you think it's hard, or do you think if one sort of lives a life and sort of implements it, because it's not so it's not like cure that you'll see results in a day or a two or 2 days, something of that sort. It's something you have to build in your routine. If you sleep well, if you work out regularly,
Yes.
if you do those kind of things, if you eat properly, then I think
Yeah, you can
generally
avoid.
most of these things are going to get negated. I'm not saying all, because there's some conditions that require, let's say, intervention, but that's how I sort of look at it.
Yeah, of course, of course. If you eat in a certain way, if you sleep in a certain way, then you can avoid things. But just like I told you, and I was reading this book of but Rujuta Divekar.
Yeah, my
So,
mom's a big fan apparently.
Me too, big fan. So I was reading her book, and the first page I read, I don't remember which one was it, but then it was written. It's very easy to put a pill in your mouth, then doing yoga every day or exercise every day. So for people feel okay, दवाई तो लेनी है, just take it in, drink water, let it be. Why should I pay in the classes
Yeah.
that? So it's just not.
And the worst example is doctors, actually. Because I've seen so many doctors smoking and so many doctors doing this and doing that. Maybe it doesn't leave the best of impressions for the people who are going and visiting them. So I have this very interesting story to share. So many of my relatives are doctors, and I'd gone to visit them. I don't really visit them often, but then I'd gone there for some family event. And they'd said that, oh, you've lost so much weight, or you've done, why are you working out? Are you suffering through something or something of that sort? So it wasn't even in their mindset that one does it simply as like a part of their lifestyle or part of like who they are or something of that sort. And it's always that if you get sick or if you become fat, then you start implementing it in your life. So
they're all stereotypical things.
I think
that
it has to
you
come
can't
through
run from.
it has to come through like the media space or through education basically, where it's sort of spread out.
A lot of people come to me and say that, oh, I want to lose weight from here, that is what I want to do yoga. But I think as a teacher, as a guidance, as a guide, and as a media also actually media has started doing this, promoting now promoting that it's more than that. Dieting is more than just losing weight. Or if you're sick only, then you should diet and everything. But as a teacher also, I try my best that person's perspective changes over time. And I think I'm able to do that because there are a lot of people who came to me to lose weight, but then they just change their perspective. They just like to come to the yoga class now. Even if it's not losing weight. Even if they're not losing weight, they're like, okay, fine, it's fine. I'm just loving to come to the class, I'll come. And it's very important to change people's perspective slowly. Rather than just asking them, okay. So even if you ask that doctor that, yoga is not about that, it's more about, he won't know unless he experiences it. So I think it's just waste of energy to tell people. Just come, drag them. I that is what I feel teaching since 4 years. And, I was initially into this thing mode that I want to tell people.
Mm-hmm.
That it's not for this, this is this, yoga is this, meditation means this. And over the years, I felt that, not, I won't say that I wasted my energy and I regret it. It's not that, but people don't listen. Okay. But then what I started doing is I started taking a different approach. So started taking free meditation classes. And I was like,
Okay.
okay, come to the class now. And then I started teaching them. And with the experience, then just knew it. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, this is this. Okay.
Yeah.
So I started taking free yoga classes. So rather than me just talking to them, wasting my energy, I can take a group. I can just teach them. And I'm not lecturing them about yoga. I'm not lecturing them about anything. I'm just asking them to come to the class and leave.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's easy to tell people like that it's more than that. It's more than just.
Look, Prachi, I'm having a fascinating time. You said you only have time till 5. Is there time we can
it's
stretch it
fine.
on?
Yeah,
okay, great. Because I'm really enjoying my time here. But something else that I sort of wanted to sort of pull at was that I wanted to understand, because we were sort of talking about it in the earlier terms when I mentioned the Bhagavad Gita and you mentioned Patanjali and some of the other sort of sacred books that are there. Have you taken time to sort of delve into this and sort of understand the broader framework of where all this sort of springs from? Like you mentioned the Patanjali, like have you taken interest in actually reading these philosophies and like delving time into them?
The Yoga Sutras and
Yeah.
everything, yes. So all my TTCs that I've done, the first thing that they teach is about Yoga Sutras and Patanjali Sutras. I'll not say that I remember each and everything they say, but I would listen. I would be there and listening. Okay, this has happened. This is what happens. So and recently I just did this Ashtanga also, and then I okay, this is how people are doing it. So it's just there's a lot of information out there, lot of information.
Yeah.
So I was this Ashtanga yoga training. So they were telling. So okay, you've heard of Iyengar?
No. What is Iyengar for the?
So Iyengar is also BK Iyengar is also a teacher, yoga guide, and he also has his own form. So there's Iyengar form of yoga. Okay, so he introduced props, these yoga blocks and yoga straps and everything. So Ashtanga was introduced by, if I'm not wrong, K. Patabi Jois, I think.
Okay.
Okay, so he introduced this Ashtanga training, and then what happened? Iyengar used to learn there.
So Iyengar is with like props and stuff. That's like the component that it.
So
added.
Iyengar is the name. BKS Iyengar is the
the person who did it, and it's sort of built on props and
yeah.
stuff
So
that
he
they
started
include.
learning this Ashtanga Vinyasa form. Then he actually realized that a lot of people cannot do the yoga. They cannot do yoga easily. This
Right.
because Ashtanga Vinyasa takes a lot of strength.
What does it include?
Okay.
What does Ashtanga Vinyasa include?
I'll tell. So there are a lot of forms, but main is Hatha and Ashtanga Vinyasa. Okay. So Hatha is more gentle, stretching and going through asanas, taking your own time, taking your own space and doing yoga. Ashtanga Vinyasa is more strength based, more stability. You need more power and more stamina to do Ashtanga Vinyasa. It's more structured. Like this is how you do it, one asana after the another. In Hatha, there is no structured form. You can do one asana. If you're not liking, you can do another, and there's no series that you have to follow. But in Ashtanga, there's a series that you have to follow. So then there's this thing I learned that Iyengar used to learn this Ashtanga form, and then he realized that people cannot do it, so we'll introduce props. So he introduced his own form where he was using the Ashtanga Vinyasa form and where he introduced props. Then somebody else learned and made something else out of it. So there's a lot of information out there, and I really love learning all of that, like how Patanjali has different yoga definition. His idea is something else. And then there's Yoga Sutras. My mom will give good podcast on Yoga Sutras. she's more into this.
Maybe someday you can have like there's an Iyengar form of yoga. There can be like a Prachi Nagpal school of thought. There could be like one you develop maybe if you become like an experienced and I don't know, a yogini who's I don't know, develop something new, and then people will read your books in the future.
Maybe. So I started doing this. Okay, I don't know if this is the right way.
Do you sort of mix it up like in your sort of because we think in the contemporary world that what do you know of hot yoga? What hot yoga is like with like increased temperature and all that kind of stuff.
Correct.
And there's something like dance also, like people mix music and all that kind of stuff. Some people, like the traditionalist people, may like cringe at it, like what are they doing and things like that.
Course.
But don't you think it's like another development in this sphere, like a modern day development, a development of the 21st century?
I think
so. If it's bringing people towards that, even if it is through like a music video that they're seeing, or if it's through increased temperature or something, if they're truly interested, maybe the ones who are really, really interested will then stay and then actually learn the older and the more ancient forms. And
See,
if that means that this is a getaway, like a pathway for them to get in, then I don't think there should be a problem, right?
personally, I feel, yeah, it's like 50-50% chance.
Okay.
Two things can happen. One, they can get more towards authentic form after learning this, and they can see this as a gateway and a
Right.
path to
Yeah.
go towards more about yoga and pranayama. And the second thing that can happen, they can get more myths about yoga. They can get, okay, yoga is this. Okay, yoga is very hard. Okay, I can't. See, if you post certain asana on your Instagram, people will think, okay, yoga is this, I can't do yoga. Or this is, I can't do this. So there's 50-50% chance, people, how people take that form.
Yeah.
But what I feel is, and what I do in a class, and I don't know if people like it that way or not, I mean, but I like it to teach that way. So I've learned Hatha. I've
Okay.
learned Ashtanga.
What does Hatha include?
So, it's like, it also has asanas, its own asanas, but it's more gentle.
But
Flowy.
from what I heard, maybe you can correct me. What I heard, Hatha yoga. So is there a difference between Hatha and Hatha? Because there's this form of yoga called Hatha yoga, which is like very, very austere kinds of devotion towards a deity. So there are people in India you'll find who haven't sat down all their life, and that's their way of devotion. Or there's one person who always has his hand like risen, because that's his way of so there are many paths in the Sanatan Dharma, right? There's like a bhakti tradition, there's a sort of jnana tradition, there's a karma tradition,
Yes.
and there's like this hut. I'm not sure if it's a tradition or there's like a small sort of branch where people do like these I don't know, these austere things to sort of reach I don't know, some sort of moksha or something of that sort. But this is different, right? This is not what you're doing. Yeah.
No, that's different. Yes, that's different. So what I do in a class is, so see, teaching people just easy asanas. Some people love it. Some people just want to flow. Some people want more structured form.
Yeah.
So what I do is, and what I love to do is, I love to learn a lot of other forms of yoga.
Right.
So over the years, I've learned a lot of different therapies, and I've learned prenatal pregnancy yoga. So what I love is to join all of them, and create a field for them to explore all of it. So for example, if you're coming to my class, what I'll do is I'll give you that flow,
Okay.
but I'll also try to give you that structured form also. And I'll try to be as authentic as I can. So I don't want to modify so much into the asanas, but at the same time, I want to mix different asanas so that you like it, you enjoy it, and your body is just not like, for example, if you're just doing this slow flow, okay, I don't want you to get stuck there only. I want to get out of that comfort and do something else also. So I like to mix all of that for them, so that they look forward for learning more. Okay, tomorrow is gonna be more interesting. Okay, I'm gonna learn more about it. So that's what I like to do in my class for people, and that's what people also have started liking that way. I guess, I think.
Which is great. And see, that's like a different alteration altogether, right?
Hmm.
Because you're bringing together certain things that you've learned and creating an amalgam that is yours. So people will sort of start identifying it as
Yeah.
your thing now.
Yes. And then, so yeah, like you were telling about that, there's this dance yoga and stuff.
Yeah.
So there are very few people who are into this dance yoga, but I think
It's less
very
in the
nice.
it's less here. So
It's
I spent
less
time in the UK, and over
Yeah.
there it's pretty big. Like
Hmm.
I got to know about hot yoga through. I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan. I don't know if you've heard his name. He's probably the biggest podcaster out there, and that's sort of why I started podcasting. So he said something. So he started with hot yoga class. I'm like, what is hot yoga? I've never heard of that. And I saw these people sort of training in like such high temperature and things like that, and that sort of got me interested.
But
And
don't
I
you think
thought
it's easy to do it there and not in India?
that's what I'm saying. There are many of
Mm.
these centers that are set up there, and as you were saying, this is what I've seen happen as well. That many people have this conception of yoga because they've done like these Zumba classes, or they've done like this I don't know, hot yoga, and then they start thinking, "Acha, this is how yoga is." Few have sort of taken the path of actually understanding the broader thing, but yeah, for the most part, it's they sort of, I don't know, capitalized it and sort of materialized it as well. Which
So
is
it's how people perceive it. It's just
Yeah.
that. Even, but I like that dance yoga form because me and my friend have started doing this. So we've created a new Instagram page and we've started doing this dance yoga.
okay.
So she's a dancer. I am more into yoga. She's also into yoga. But then, so we mix it. We mix that flow and vibe. It's coming out nice, I feel. Even I like to do it. So sometimes just, turning her
See,
videos.
because that's what I'm saying. It doesn't always have to be where it's more of an emphasis on the asanas or things like that, which are more technical. Some things could be just more like recreational stuff, right? Like, for example, there's like people who go to the gym to build muscle or whatever, but then there are people who also go, I don't know, recreationally to play badminton with their friends downstairs. So it could be like that kind of activity, right?
Like sometimes, you can just add few things in your class. Be authentic, but add little thing. Because maybe, for example, you come to the class and you're coming, okay, you're doing yoga, you're doing all the forms that I'm making you do. But maybe I introduce this dance yoga and you're just loving it. And you're just loving that Friday class because you're going to do that. Maybe, okay, that can happen. And that can be your motivation to come to the class. So it's good to add little stuff. People are getting modern and people like new things. People like to explore more. So you also have, I don't want to. Honestly, personally, I feel I really want to be just authentic. You're very much of a
traditionalist.
Traditional, being
conservative.
Not conservative, but I like to be authentic because I think yoga is ancient. It's the power that we have.
People were saying that about Rajneesh. Do you know of Osho? They were saying that about Osho as well. But he got a lot of following. There are many of these yogis who they give it their own spin, right? Like maybe you can have an ashram one day. Who knows? So one thing I'm really interested in because I'm really interested in this sort of spiritual path, and I read a lot about like all this many traditions, not only in the Sanatana Dharma, but in Jain thought and like Buddhist thought and those kind of things. Are there some sort of practices that you sort of inculcate in your life? You were talking about like, so I mentioned that perhaps it's a good thing to sort of keep your body clean and all this kind of stuff. But are there certain things that you do keep in, like now that you have started it as like your sort of thing in your daily life, be it with food, be it with like, I don't know, clothing, be it with whatever. Are there some things that you could share that you've inculcated in your life?
So I'll be very honest, there are some off days where I'm not doing
but
those
for the
things.
most part
but for the most part, and I try my best that most parts I do that. So there's this list of things, and I was just telling my friend before coming to this thing, okay, these are the things I have to do every single day. So one of them is reading book. I have to read at least, even
what
if
are
I'm
you reading right now?
Okay, I'm reading that book, 50 Toughest Questions of Life.
Okay.
If I can remember any one question, I'll ask you. And I answer it.
I think this is this is wrong. I'm the one who's asking questions.
But it's very fascinating book. It's a very interesting book. So what I do is I read one question every day, and then I try to figure out the answer in the whole day.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool. And for me, it's like reading book is not just a competition for me that I have to complete 1,000 books or stuff like that. For me, it's more like reading something and inculcating in that in my life. Unless and until I'm not able to inculcate that 2-3 pages that I've read, I'll not move forward with other pages. Even if I want to read badly, like, I have to read, but I'm not able to do it unless, I'm able to inculcate what I've already read. So that's one thing I do every day. Second, I really try that I do my meditation and I do my kriya and I do my breath work. See, teaching yoga, and I'm also a craniosacral therapist. So I think all of that takes your energy.
Of course,
and if you are in that aura, if you are in that positivity, only then you'll be able to give that positivity. Okay, fine. Everything is science, but it's also energy. If I'm teaching you yoga, it's not just science. If I'm giving you therapy, it's not just science. It is energy, of course. I feel it's very important for me to do my own sadhana. And I don't think...
Sadhana means like your own practice? Or?
My own practice. So sadhana. So it's very important to stick to your sadhana because it is what grounds you. It is what helps you not get attached with the outside world. That's what your pratyahara, like taking your senses inwards. It's very important to do dharana and dhyana and whatever your practices are. So that's the number 2 thing, that I make sure that I'm doing it no matter what. And then for me, it's very important to do some grounding. Okay, so grounding, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but you walk barefoot on the grass.
Sometimes I've been told to do it more often, but
you should do it more often. You should do it. So I try that every single day. I go to the park and do it 15 minutes. Like if I'm going to my studio, if I have 15 minutes after or before the class, I go to the park. Sometimes I take food for the dog and you just play around with them and not use my phone or anything. So it's very important to do grounding because it cleans you. It cleans your thoughts. It cleans your body. So that's what I really have to do.
Something I've observed, and maybe it's sort of touching to the same point, is that unlike many of our other parts, we sort of locked our feet so much as compared to other parts. So like everything that we do is like with shoes or something of that thing. Whereas that's not the same about many of the other things like our hands or our face or something of that sort. And I don't know, that makes our feet really weak. As far as I've been able to understand it, there's this sort of what's it called, robotist or someone who works with robots basically at MIT, and he basically runs to campus every single day barefoot.
Okay.
And what he said that when he started off for the first month or for the first few weeks, it really gave him a lot of problems with his feet, with his ankle, with his feet. He got like a few fractures as well. But over time, now he can't even think about wearing shoes and running in some sense. So I'm not saying to go that extreme. I mean, feel free if you have your medical considerations in place. But even things when you can, as you said, after you've done your walk, put your shoes off and like walk for 5 minutes or 10 minutes on like the grass or on the normal path, simply bare feet, and how it feels. Because if I've done a few times, it makes me more connected to my whole body and how it actually feels in some sense.
Because it opens your Mooladhara chakra.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, grounding your okay. Do you know your body is made of 5 elements? Earth, space, water.
I've heard about that, but I thought all these things is like whiff-waff anyway.
I know. Ayurveda. The whole Ayurveda is based on that.
Okay.
The whole Ayurvedic medicine.
Okay, see, now my perception of this has come from so much of the popular media that we get fed. And because of that, it turns me off from actually going to many of these actual texts, if that makes sense. And I think that is a disservice that the people who are propagating these things should probably have a little bit of an understanding more. So that at least they're doing justice to what they're sort of talking about or the texts that they've come before.
Correct. Yeah, but the whole actually the whole Ayurveda medicine and doshas and how they check the Ved. Have you ever been to Ayurveda?
No.
So how do they check? You've never been. Okay.
No,
so
how do they check?
Okay, the Ved checks you on your hands. So they check your nerves and they check what dosha are you of. Okay. There's a lot of things actually. We can have another talk about it.
Yeah.
So there's like Prakriti. What is your nature? Body nature.
Yeah.
Okay. So it depends on these elements. There are 5 elements in the body. Earth, water, space, air, and space. I did say space.
You said space.
Okay.
You said earth, water, space, air,
fire.
Yeah,
fire. So these are the 5 elements that your body is made of, and every Prakriti. So there you are. This kapha, if you're kapha dosha, then you have certain elements.
Okay.
Then that element is more in your body than other elements. Of course, you're made of 5, but these are more.
What is kapha dosha?
Okay, so it's this.
Isn't that related to like the body structure? Because there's a term for it also. If people are a little lean or if people are a little sort of stocky, there's like certain terms for that also.
So there's like a whole lot. Talk about it. So there are 3 doshas and how your elements are associated with the doshas, and the Ayurveda deals with this. How Ayurveda gives you medicine is, so they check you whatever your dosha is. According to that, they give you the diet. Okay, you shouldn't eat this because you are in, for example, your water element is higher than any other element. Okay, so what they'll tell you.
And how do they check this? How do they know that I have more of a certain element than another?
Study.
Okay.
They study. They have this own study how they check your just nerves. So and they know these qualities also, these characteristics and everything. So according to these characteristics, and then they check your nerves, and then according to that they tell you this is the dosha you have, and this element is more. So according to that they write you this food diet that you should follow.
Okay.
So for example, your water element is higher than any other element, though they'll tell you to eat less food that contains less water. So that's how the whole Ayurveda runs around.
Okay.
It's
see, I
natural.
see, sorry to cut you off, but I sort of see so much of nutritional science to not really be a science, because the thing is there's so much that's taught in nutritional science. I think when we are looking at nutrition, we almost have to take it through yourself. You have to experiment with yourself pretty much, because there are some known facts that we do know, that avoid sugars, avoid like processed fats and all this kind of stuff. But for the most part, there's so much over there, which is sort of an amalgam of how you are brought up, where you live, your geographical conditions, what is available to you. That makes so much of a difference that it's really impossible to almost give. So I had this lady on my podcast some while back. Her name's Ankita Srivastava. I don't know if you've heard of her. So she puts up a lot of all this sort of nutrition stuff, and she's also very women centric because she
Mm-hmm.
also focuses on that. Because to be honest, it's been very male centric as well on the
Hmm.
research front. There
Yeah.
hasn't been a lot of research that's been done on the female body,
Yes.
primarily because there's a lot of fluctuation that happens on the
Hmm.
female body as well.
Yes.
But sort of she was mentioning that, and I knew this fact before, that there are no two gut microbiomes in the world that are the same, which means that what I will eat and what will suit me will inevitably be very, very difficult to sort of. It'll be almost virtually never be the case that'll ever suit you, right? Because the gut microbiomes are made that way. So that's just how I sort of look at it. And I think that everyone should sort of experiment with themselves and see what works best. But yeah, just be careful. But yeah.
No, I see the same thing to my students. Anytime anybody is coming up, ki, what diet should I follow? What should I eat? Tell me. So I always tell them, explore your own body. See what suits you, see what doesn't suit you. But it's important to take a guide because, see, if that's how my mother quotes it. See, if you're very aware of your body,
Mhm.
you just know, okay, I drank this and this is not suiting me. When will that happen? When you're really aware of your body,
Yeah.
when you're really focused. Okay, then that's gonna be easier for you to identify
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
not working. But a lot of people out there who are modernized or just running around, it's not easy for them to aware their
For
own.
sure. There's
be
so many
aware.
things going on.
Huh. So for them, it's not easy to identify what's working for them and what's not. For them, Ayurveda and these diets and all of this helps them.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, whoever is giving them diet should tell them that but observe. For example, this doctor or this guide tells you to not drink water first thing in the morning. Oh, it doesn't suit you. They just tell you
Acha.
this for example.
Okay.
For example.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but you feel like over the time you start feeling ki no, yeah, it suited me actually. I felt nicer when I was doing
Yeah.
that. So I think these guides, these doctors should tell you that this is something you should do, but you should also check.
Check for sure. Yeah.
But you shouldn't
Take
put it
anything
out.
blindly.
Don't put it on put it on the person ki ye to karna hi hai.
Huh.
So I always tell people, see, this is what I can guide you through, but you have to see if this is working for you or not. Maybe it doesn't work, or maybe it does work. And for me, I feel it's very important to be aware of your body. You just have to be so aware to know. So for example, few days in summers when this mango season was there, and I just observed that something is making me acidic, something is going wrong, and I just observe. I don't know. It's just intuition. I just know my gut. So I just told my mom, this mango shake is not,
Working for you.
working for me. She's like, no, it can't be that because mango shake is really healthy and nice. And it is. Actually, it is very healthy and nice. So I was like, no, I am very sure this is the thing. She's like, how are you aware? How do you know? So I like, okay, let's check. So I didn't drink for 2 days and I was not acidic. The third day I drank it, I was acidic. Again.
What if it was placebo?
No, it was not. Because I did it again after a week.
Okay.
So I really checked on myself that this is not. So it's like people say that mango shake is nice, it's healthy, and it is. Actually, it is. But if it's not working for you, it's not working for you.
yeah.
And you have to be that aware.
For sure.
But guidance is important because a lot of people
Yeah.
cannot identify things.
That's for
to
sure.
them.
And this brings me back to the conversation we were having earlier when we were talking about like this aspect of like ekagrata, which is like single-mindedness on the thing you're doing. I think this really makes a difference because, and I sort of observed it myself, and I think I should do it more often. Is that whenever I'm eating my food as well, when I don't have anything on, if I'm not talking to someone, I'm only sort of eating my food, I'm more in tune with like what I'm eating. I know like all the ingredients that are going in rather than just sort of stuffing it in my body. So I think maybe people can start with that. Just like not do anything else when they're eating. That can be a good start because then you sort of have to focus on like your chewing, because that's a lot of people, they don't do that. They don't chew a lot. So they just stuff it in. But yeah, maybe there can be small steps like that can sort of go a long way.
Yeah, these are small steps that they can take. I think rather than telling people that don't eat while you are, don't eat while you're watching something,
Or anything.
make them
yeah.
make them experience with eating, with
Yeah,
watching,
yeah.
without watching once or twice,
Uh-huh.
and then they'll just know the difference.
For sure.
Okay, I'm feeling better. But then some days, okay, but I'll be very honest, okay, I'll eat without watching anything or talking to anybody. But there are some days my intuition really says, okay, I should watch something today. And when I do that and when I'm watching it and I'm eating it, that is something I'm liking it that day.
Okay.
And I just feel good. Like, don't restrict yourself also.
Yeah.
Once
Be
in a blue-
non-attached.
be non-attached. If you're really feeling that need to watch something while you eat today, and you don't want to be with your thoughts or something is happening, then you should do that rather than forcing yourself to do
Yeah.
something. Like habits shouldn't be forced. Habits should be
I
made.
mean, if you're eating and only thinking, then it's the same. It's acting the same way as the video would, because then you're not you're not eating, right? You're just doing whatever your intellectual stuff in your head.
Correct.
So
it's like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Habits should be made. It should not be forced on you.
Yeah,
You shouldn't force yourself that, oh, nahi dekhna hai, nahi karna hai. You should like it.
Yeah.
You should like not watching stuff.
For sure, yeah.
And once you while you if you're liking doing that, please do it. Rather than forcing yourself and eating that food with that negativity.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, I think.
So something else that sort of does cross my mind. What do you make of like dairy and meat products? Is that a large component of your diet, or are you vegetarian, non-vegetarian? How does it look for you?
I think for me, only one line I'll say is moderation.
Okay.
Just have moderation in everything you do.
Yeah.
In everything you eat, whatever you want to eat, whatever you want to consume. I've never asked anybody to not take anything or to take certain things. I've always told them to take in moderation. If you want to consume something, consume it, but just see that it doesn't cross that boundary.
Okay. Yeah.
This much. I just want to say this. Yeah. And I always try that I am doing things in moderation. And there are days when I'm losing that moderation. I always try to come back to it. Okay, no, Prachi, today you just crossed that boundary. Okay,
yeah,
you can come back to it.
The body will tell you though. I think that's what I've observed at least.
Your body tells you. It does. So I remember, few days back, I generally avoid eating on Sundays. I just eat on fruits or something. Like a detox day. I want to go eating nothing. So there was this, somebody came and they were like, oh, you don't eat anything. So I was like, no, I want to do this detox. It's nice, just clear your system off one day. And they're like, oh, aise nahi hota. It's not like... But your body tells you that there is need to do it, because I have observed if I eat very heavy something on Sundays, and there are certain days I have to, because somebody's there and go out, I'm not able to, work very well on Mondays. Getting up in the morning and doing yoga and teaching yoga. I feel so sleepy. I feel so lethargic. I just can't get through the day very easily. So I think, you should listen to your body. Your body tells you. Yeah.
There's another sort of misconception that's often spread out in like the Hindus generally. There are many sort of ardent Hindus who sort of avoid even like pyaz and lasan. So they avoid like onion and garlic. I think that's more sort of a proponent of like the Vaishnava tradition, because the Vaishnava tradition sort of has more of an emphasis on like cleanliness and purity and all those kind of things. That's why those ingredients were sort of said to sort of minimalize in your diet. Whereas in the Patanjali, it's sort of talked about at great lengths of how great it is for your body. So there's so many other aspects to it as well, like within like the whole branch of like people who follow like yoga traditions and things like that. There are things where meat is allowed, meat is good, and onion is fine, and some it's not. So that's there too, right?
I'll tell you a funny reel that I watched. So I don't know if it's related or not. But
it's fine. It's a podcast.
So in
it's
that
not a
reel,
15-minute. It's not a 15-second reel where people have to know like about a certain thing.
Okay, so in that reel, what he showed was, and it's very funny to watch it. So this guy, he gets up, he's drinking water. Okay. And then there's a video that's going, oh, you shouldn't drink water the first thing. He's like, okay, I'll stop drinking water. So then what he says is, he starts drinking orange juice. Then he watches another video where that person is saying, don't drink orange juice. It's very harmful for your body. It will give you cancer. Then he said, okay, and now do this also. Then he started drinking milk. Then there's another video said, oh, drink water or juice, but don't drink milk. And that whole reel goes to that. Like somebody telling you do this, not do this, not to do this. So that's the same. People will say eat meat. Somebody will say it's not good. Yeah. Somebody will say alcohol is really good for you once in a while. Somebody will say don't drink alcohol. But I think logic is more important. So, in Navratri, there's so many families who don't eat onion and garlic. That's one of my family. And one of my families too. So we don't eat onion. And so when I was small and I used to ask my mom, these are weird myths, mom. What will happen if you're not eating for 1 week? It's just weird. And he used to question so much. And I used to hate these, religion ke naam pe doing stuff. Just fast,
not
because
knowing the reasons behind it,
and just because it has to be done. So I used to ask a lot of people and they were like, oh, it has to be done that way. So one day I was just asking my mom why to do. She's like, oh, it has logic, you should have asked me earlier. So I was like, okay, tell me. So she said, it's just, how it started was people wanted to pray a lot, and they wanted to do a lot of bhajans, chant and devote themselves. And onion and garlic are really heavy. so it makes you more sleepy. So she was like, have you observed when you go to a party and if you eat a lot of heavy food, masalas and onion and garlic filled stuff, and then you feel very sleepy the next day? I was like, yeah. She like, it's the same way. People wanted to devote themselves. They want to be up and they don't want to feel lazy and sleepy. That's why they cut off onion and garlic. What happened over the years was that people thought it's related to religion, and then you shouldn't eat it because you shouldn't eat it. The God will be angry if you eat it. So
Which
then
God?
I loved the reason.
Yeah.
When I loved the reason and then I got the reason, that's why I started following it. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Fine. We don't want to feel lazy. That's why we've started doing this. So it's better. So I think logics are important.
But it is about logic though. And I think if we can start applying logic, then I think our lives will be much better off.
Yeah.
I think we're just too emotional a country. But
It's like meat. Okay, for example, meat. So people say it started off with it because it's heavy.
yeah.
It's heavy on the body. Then you'll not be able to do yoga. You'll not be able to devote yourself, and you'll be just lazy. Maybe that's how it would have started. I don't know. Maybe something else was the reason.
There's so many other things.
There's so many other things, and maybe some other reason was there that all of this started, and then it started becoming.
See, that's what I'm saying. There's so much complexity in the Sanatan Dharma that if you want to sort of, and what's sort of happening in the media spaces, it's becoming very Brahminical in the way it's sort of becoming portrayed. And then what's happening is that you don't have to be a Brahmin. So people who are of the other caste, let's say, are also starting adapting to these sort of Brahminical ideas that they do have. And then because they don't go to these original texts and they don't take time to read them, they start associating that with what's actually supposed to be the case. Correct. So yeah, I think if people just open their eyes and open their mind and read a little bit and think a little bit, then they'll be fine.
Do a little research on things.
Yeah.
I remember this one person said something about one of the reel that, you are doing this and this is wrong and you shouldn't do this way and this is you don't know anything. So I was just telling my friend, this is so weird how I'm not saying that I'm a yoga teacher so I know more than him, but people just say anything just because they want to text you and say something. So then, and she believes more in, researching things. She believes more in finding the reason. She's like, you wait here. And that person had written, even if you don't know this is how things are not done, then go do research. Even research says this. She's like, okay, wait, I'll give you a research. She actually spent 15-20 minutes or more than that. She did a lot of research on the thing that he was saying. She like, go send him this research now. He's saying this now. And I really liked that, I liked how she researched things. Not just, okay, this person has said, because what I would have done is forgot about it. Okay, this person has said something. I would have felt bad and just moved on. But I like this how she researced on that thing. For sure, she's like, open to this. That there can be sort of opposing viewpoints. Yes, she's not okay. I'll be able. Her goal is not that to fight that person, but her goal is to, if the other person is naming research on something, then she wants to find it. She wants to find the reason. What's the reason behind that person is saying this thing, and she's like, okay, go send him now. that he's wrong.
yeah. See, that's one of the things, that's the beauty of social media, and like a con as well. Like the beauty is the fact that you sort of democratize this whole aspect of the media, that anyone and everyone has an opinion. It's a great space, but that also allows for people to spread a lot of hate, and that's the thing, because hate sticks much faster than love does. Because the thing is, evolutionarily speaking, that's just how it is. Like, however much one sort of pushes love towards you, it's fine. Like, you're still going to be happy for some time, but then you're going to forget about it. But that's not the same with hate, because what's the extremes that this can go? If someone really loves you a lot, you're still alive. If someone really hates you a lot, he can probably kill you, and then you're dead. And that's what your brain has sort of evolved to do. So it sort of always prioritizes hate a lot more. So you'll get like 100 comments on your Instagram reel saying that, oh, Prachi, great work, love the content, this, that, whatever. And there'll be like this one man who'll say that, what is this? Or like some sort of hateful comment that he'll pass. But your next 3 or 4 days will be stuck only on that particular one comment and forget about the 100 comments. That's just how the brain is sort of engineered. So yeah,
it is actually.
Maybe you should stop reading comments all that much.
But I think yoga and meditation helps me do that. Like, see, there is a point. So that there's this video which got a lot of negative comments, and I was fine. Initially, I was just okay. It doesn't matter. Fine. Yoga really helps you ground down and forget about stuff. But then there's a boundary. Then it got more comments, more weird comments, more. Then there's a boundary where you are like, you feel weird, and honestly, I didn't feel bad. I like hurt, but I was feeling bad about how people can just come and throw anything on you. That's the weirdest
See,
part.
but that's also like a metric, right? Because they're seeing you
Hmm.
and what you're doing. They're not in front of you. They're not like having a conversation like we are
Yes.
having. They're like in some remote place on their phone,
Hmm.
probably, I don't know, sitting on their sofa eating Cheetos or whatever, and like commenting away.
Ah.
Because there's no sort of there's no sort of I don't know. There's no sort of combative element to it. Now so what's the worst? They can take like 5 seconds to make a
And
comment,
they'll just
but
scroll
then
down. They'll
yeah,
forget.
yeah. But then for you, it might like worsen your day or something, right? That's the thing.
Of
Because
course.
like there's very less effort on that side, and it just makes a lot worse for you this way.
You can just like, so I was telling my friend the same thing. She's like, okay, it's fine. But one good thing that somebody told me that so I was like, oh, I should switch off the comments or something, and I'll let it be. So this one person said, oh no, don't do that, it's fine.
Hmm.
It's fine. Like, oh, I think this was my mom. So she was like, oh, it's fine, you should know what people think,
Yeah.
negative also, positive also.
Exactly.
And then I liked it. I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
I didn't mind. I didn't mind. I did mind how people are just openly, just the same thing, eating Cheetos and just scrolling and tapping anything. I was feeling bad on that part, but then I started feeling okay that everybody has opinion, and
Huh.
I should read people's
Yeah.
opinion. So I
Because there are
used to
because
open
there are
and
like
read.
gems as well. Like there are like so many good opinions that people do leave, which is like
Huh.
constructive and that you
Yes.
can improve upon.
Yes, of course. So they have if you are uploading something, people will have opinion, and you have to
Yeah.
go through it. You can't help it. How my brother quotes it: "It is India. It is people's right.
Yeah.
People will speak. You're a girl." I was just kidding. He was just making me laugh about certain things.
Yeah.
So he was just putting it that way. So I was
Yeah.
just laughing. He's like, no, it's fine. होता रहता है ऐसे तो
हाँ.
क्या ही कितना दिमाग लगाओगे
For sure.
sort of.
Huh. So not recently, like last year, I read this book by James Nestor. It was called Breath. It was talking about the impact sort of breathing has on your body. I was saying that virtually everything that we do is so interconnected by like a breathing process that we can't even think about it. So, for example, our teeth have evolved in a certain way simply because we breathe in a certain manner.
Correct.
And it'll sort of like our jaw size will start shrinking and shrinking over the years if we repeatedly keep breathing as much as we do right now.
Your
So-
bones also breathe.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Okay, so I'm a craniosacral therapist. So what a craniosacral therapist? It's a very non-invasive touch-based therapy. So you touch
Okay.
different bones. So the bones have a movement, specific movement. So for example, these are your parietal bones. They move like a butterfly. No, and then these are the bones, frontal bones. They open like a gate.
Okay.
So, but it is called primary respiratory mechanism. They don't
Right.
breathe as in proper breathing, but they move and in a certain way. But we have taught the bones are still. No, but every bone has a certain movement to it. It actually breathes. That is how craniosacral therapy works. So
Oh,
if
damn.
I want to focus on your occiput, so I go back and touch your head down there, and that moves. So if I'm there touching, that part, and just connecting to your body, so it starts moving in a certain way, and the movement becomes more smoother.
Huh.
So maybe, for example, you were getting a headache, or you were having some problem in your body because the movement was little bit restricted
Mhm.
there. The health was getting stuck. So the health starts getting spread, and the movement becomes more smoother.
Okay.
So yeah, that is how your body is made actually.
Wow.
If your teeth are made in certain way, the body is also structured
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
certain way to breathe. It's like, so if your occiput, this part moves like this, then the sacrum down here moves like this, like reciprocal.
Wow.
So if it is not moving in a certain way, then down there the sacrum will also have a restricted movement. So that's how body
Wow.
get diseases and
See,
pains.
yeah, this is just fascinating stuff. But how is it that people can sort of implement it in life? So, for example, with breathing as well, because in the world we live in, everyone breathes. Though he says that most of the problems will go away if people shut their mouth and like breathe a little less. And because even when we're speaking, we're sort of breathing and things like that. So he says that even if it's not possible for you to do it all the time, and it isn't, because we live in this modern world and everything of that sort. But even if you take 5 minutes, 10 minutes and sit on yourself and not do anything but only focus on your breath, even that can make like considerable changes in your
a lot.
physique and your how you sort of orient yourself.
a lot.
So there's another sort of interesting thing he sort of singled out on, was that many people, when they're sleeping, they breathe from their mouth. And he said that's terribly, like, really, really bad for you. And they basically did a research that they had put some sort of thing in their nose to sort of block it, and so that they can breathe only through their mouth, from their mouth, basically, for a
Mm-hmm.
week or 2 weeks or
Mm-hmm.
something of that sort. And they did this test. So this particular journalist, James Nestor, and a particular friend of his did this test. And after a week or so, they just felt that their body was more sort of like, I don't know, it just wasn't to the shape that it was before. And there were so many other fascinating things. And I think if we can just, that's the thing though, like where do you focus on, and like what do you, because there's so many fascinating things about the
Breath is the
body.
easiest way to go into meditation. It is
Yeah.
the easiest. Even if you notice right now, if you breathe in, and the inhalation always energizes your body. Yeah. And when you breathe out, it always relaxes you.
Yeah.
So if you just focus on that phenomena, that
What is it? 666. That's the thing, right?
Six, six,
No.
a lot of people do that. 4 inhale,
Something like that.
hold for 4, and something like that. But it's fine. Don't follow so
Yeah.
many rules. If you start following so many rules, then you're not able to
Exactly. That's what I'm
actually
saying.
do
That's
what
I'm
you have
saying.
to
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
So go effortless. So that if you notice that phenomena of energizing and relaxing phenomena of your breath, then it's very easy to go into meditation. See, when you're happy, you're with your girlfriend or with your friends, and you're just there. And
Who's
you're
happy when they're their girlfriend?
Okay. Fine. Okay. Okay.
No, but anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway. So. Okay. Coming back to that. So when you're happy, your breath is so relaxed. Even if you close your eyes now and you think of a happy movement, happy people, and then your breath becomes so relaxed. When you're watching a movie, a horror movie, or you're angry, or you're fighting somebody, if you observe your breath, it's very heavy. It's very heavy when you're watching a horror movie. You're not able to relax your mind because the breath is so heavy. Just if you relax your breath, if you take attention on your breath, and if you relax your breath, it's very easy to come back to the moment. And that's why people say, oh, breathe in, breathe, relax, breathe.
Very Krishnamurti. Have you heard his name?
Yeah, I've heard of his name. But so that's why a lot of kriyas and everything is made around breath.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever heard of Sudarshan Kriya? The art
I've
of
heard
living.
of it. I don't have a clue.
Okay. So Art of Living's USP, that is a Sudarshan Kriya. So
Okay.
Shri Ravi Shankar ji made this Sudarshan Kriya. It's breathing, but it is how should I put it? So there are certain ways of you have to put your hands and certain ways of breathing. So different patterns of breathing. It's like a 20-minute Kriya, and you have to breathe in certain ways.
Yeah.
And in the end of it, you'll just be so relaxed. And it's just breathing. Keeping your hand here and breathing, keeping your hand there and breathing, doing certain pranayams after it, and breathing, then again breathing in certain other way. And you're just relaxed, and you're just fine, and you're just good. So a lot of kriyas and meditation and everything is revolved around breathing. Even though yoga. So asanas are not just asanas, you just go there, squeeze, and just go there and okay, my mom's calling me. So yeah, asanas is also about inhalation, exhalation. It's very important as a yoga teacher to instruct people that way. You have to inhale and raise your hand up, exhale as you go down. That's how your lungs work. So whenever you're raising your hands up, it's very important to inhale. That's how your chest will expand. And whenever you exhale and you're going down, so that you're so it's very important to do that. People get pain because they're not focusing on breath and so it's
Prachi, this has been a fascinating conversation. I've had so much to learn from this sort of conversation. Can you sort of suggest, just before going, some places or some ways people who are interested in walking this yoga path? What are some sort of tips that you could give them? Some places that they could go to. Obviously, follow you on your social media handles.
No, one thing I always tell people, that it's not important for you to come to me, but whoever you can reach out to. Whoever you can reach out to. If you have offline classes nearby, you go to that class. And if you have an online class, if you can reach out to any workshop, anything that you're able to see on Instagram or offline, there's a board, just go try that class. Just go there. It's fine. One day, try it. And about meditation, I always tell people, if you're not able to do something, sports or some walking or yoga is boring for you, you cannot exercise, at least meditate. And a lot of people have different norms and thinking about meditation, a lot of perspective about meditation. Some think that if you have thoughts, that is the reason you're not able to meditate. And if thoughts and a lot of weird experiences are coming in your head, that means the meditation is not fulfilled for you. But it's not that case. Meditation is just simply surrendering yourself there, just sitting out there, spending some time with yourself. And don't restrict yourself to a certain meditation. For example, if you like guided meditation, please go do that. If you like breath work meditation, do that. If you like listening to some chanting and then meditating, do that.
Hare Ram, Hare Krishna.
Do that. See, of course, that point is there that, everything you do is meditation. But I think apart from that, still
Also,
you
yeah,
should
there are like more structured
Haan,
ways also.
Go more structured. Sit down there have a beautiful corner in your house. Go meditate there. Take out your mat. Sit down there. And whatever form you like, explore different forms.
Yeah.
I never ask you to
Be
stick
rigid
to,
and stick to one. Yeah.
try explore during a month, for a month, explore, and then whatever you feel good, be
Just do.
consistent.
Yeah.
But I tell you, if you're not consistent, if you're just meditating for 1 day or 1 month, that doesn't work. You have to be consistent to actually have
See
the
the
results
benefits.
and see things manifesting for you. And it takes years. I won't lie and say okay, just it won't. But it takes years for you to get there. But you have to be consistent. So the only thing I want to say, people, is whatever you're doing, whatever form you like, whatever you like to do, stick to it. Even if you have that one habit, stick to it.
Yeah.
Don't lose it.
Prachi, this has been fascinating. I hope we can have this conversation sometime again in the future. But yeah, this has been great. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, it was great to be here with you too,
Yeah.
obviously.
Thank you
It's
so
nice.
much, guys, for listening in, and see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.